Nervous system regulation usually comes down to that. And that could be your pick your tool, you know? There's so many of them out there. I love breath work. I love it because it is the nervous system's like remote control. If you want to put yourself into a sympathetic state, have more energy, just breathe it differently. If you want to be more calm, create more space between an event, your emotions, your actions, your thoughts, breathe more slowly. It is we are all designed without a doubt 100% of us to have a certain physiological reaction to certain types of breathing. So across the board, everybody can change their physiological state with breath work, which is why I love it. It's so accessible and really works for anybody,
Yeah,
everybody.
totally. Now, so give me some examples then of different ways to implement breathwork, because breathwork is a big word that has a lot of different implementations.
Thanks. So
And so
let's use
like,
the example of someone who struggles with anger.
okay,
So they, they're driving through traffic and like all of a sudden you're punching your steering wheel. You just have no, you're like a hair trigger away from just yelling. You're very angry. Maybe, you struggle with yelling at people in your life or just getting really angry really quickly at different things. Totally common. We are not taught how to deal with anger, man or woman, right? It doesn't matter who you are. Women a little bit more shamed for anger,
mm,
but and men it's a little bit more acceptable, but still nobody's taught. And it's a really healthy emotion. Like anger is healthy. So you could use breath work, I would say, in two different ways to help you with anger. The first would be to learn in the moment calm breathing. So you're in traffic, or, in my case, one of my kids has done something that really triggers me. I can slow my breathing, get into my body, and start to understand, create a little bit more space between me getting triggered by that event and what I'm going to do and say after it. Because I wasn't taught how to emotionally regulate myself by my parents. They were not taught either. So I'm the first generation of my family who's trying to teach this simultaneously to little people and myself at the same time. And a lot of other people can relate to that. It's tricky.
yeah,
So you want to be able to show them in real time, this is what I'm doing. I talk my kids through it. I say like, whoa, I feel really like frustrated by that. I'm going to do some deep breathing. And then just outside, my daughter felt really frustrated by something and she sat down and did her deep breathing. So that's one way. Another way is if you've got, maybe a deep-seated trauma. And it doesn't even have to be yours. Like it literally could be generational. It could be that you have a great great grandfather who went to war and it had these horrible experiences, and that's been passed down epigenetically to you. So you've got issues with an emotion now. You've got anger issues, and they might not be yours. They might be yours. It's from an event in the past. It's your defense system. So as soon as your nervous system starts to kind of get, am I going to be rejected here? Or does this person maybe not love me? Or am I in danger? I'm going to fight, right? It's a very normal nervous system reaction. But you could, for instance, do a longer, more intense breathwork session, which is like the ones we see on Instagram a lot, holotropic breathwork, transformational breathwork. We call it sympathetic breathwork because you're just putting yourself in a sympathetic state. But it's amazing for releasing trauma stored in the body. People have wild experiences. We hear everything from I healed, something that happened to me when I was bullied, to I was visited by my dead dad, to I went to a different planet. We hear it all. And a lot of like birth trauma stories, very common. But people just have these profound experiences. I mean, there's many different reasons for that. There's theories. Um, People think that you are releasing endogenous DMT when you breathe in a certain way for longer
what
periods
is
of
that?
time. DMT,
Yeah,
it's a endogenous drug that's created by your body that gives you profound experiences. So some people take exogenous DMT. I can't remember. It's dimethyltryptophan. I can't remember the long compound name, but it's essentially a drug that you can take that gives you like a really profound godlike experience. But it's stored, again, this is like, who knows? They have cut open rats and found that it's stored in the lungs in rats. So people have theorized that potentially this is what's happening during breath work, but no one's really studying breath work that intense. So we don't know. There's another theory called exhaustion theory. So you're just exhausting yourself enough to the point where you don't hold back anything. You don't have the energy to hold back anything. I'm not 100% sure, but we do know just in terms of people's experiences that they are having spiritual experiences and very healing experiences and feeling free of trauma that they have experienced in the past.
So you said this is, you call it sympathetic breath work. What does this look like?
Yeah, so typically people are laying down and, you know, between the span of 15 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what kind of breath work you're doing, you're just breathing in a way where your inhales are extended longer than your exhales. So it kind of is like something like this. So you're panting almost. So you're putting yourself in that like sympathetic state. It's going to change the pH of your blood. It's going to change your nervous system into a sympathetic nervous system state. Um, but it's almost like people are always like, "Oh, bad. I don't want that." But I'm like, it's a hormetic stress, right? So it's like working out, cold plunge, sauna, anything along that realm. It's going to be stressful for a short amount of time to make you more resilient long term. And I think people, especially in the wellness world, especially in the biohacking world, people have completely forgotten that your emotional health is a part of the health of your body. If you want proper hormones, if you want, um, gains, if you want to perform better, you have to be looking at the emotional side of yourself as well, because that will hold you back, especially as an athlete. We've done this tennis studies where it was just like the people who excelled in tennis by far were just the people who had really positive mental things to say to themselves. And like,
Mm.
it's very hard to think positively about yourself if you are storing shame.
Yeah, totally. You said that this type of breathing, this panting type of breathing, where your inhales are longer than your exhales, somebody could do it for 15 minutes to 2 hours, laying down, if you will. Is I mean, I would assume they'd have to take breaks during that period of time because it seems like it'd be something that would be somewhat exhausting to do it. So, is there a particular methodology to you do that for 30 breaths, then you rest a minute, and then you do it again? Or like, how does that look like?
There's a lot. I'm a little bit unique in the breathwork world for this. I
Okay.
don't believe in that stuff. So I really want, when I'm working with a client, I want them to tune into their body and tune into what their needs are because there's
Yeah.
no algorithm that's
No specific
designed for
protocol.
every person, right?
Yeah.
Like I weigh 110, but if I give what feels good for me and my body to a guy that weighs 220, he probably has a bigger lung capacity than me.
Yeah.
What's going to feel good for me is not going to feel good for him. So I always say you can take a break when you need to, but like tune in and know that like you control the throttle
Yeah.
of how far this is going to go and how deep of an experience you're going to go. I don't believe in pushing people to have that experience because it usually just puts them into a freeze state of their nervous system.
Mm.
They've got to pick up the sword and they've got to go in themselves.
Yeah.
You can't drag someone into their healing. Like I want people to be empowered. I want them to have that feeling of like, all right, let's go. I'm going to go face this and I'm going to have a profound spiritual experience and look at the world completely differently.
Do you coach people to like lay on their back, keep their eyes open, keep their eyes closed?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. I would say like the thing is like you have to be laying down because you can pass out. You don't want to do it driving. You don't want to do it in the bath.
Okay.